Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Norafe B. Sahagun. So for today's lesson, we have crafting the good lead. The subtopic for this lesson are the following: the part of news, the lead, major classification of lead, kinds of summary lead, kinds of grammatical beginning lead, kinds of novelty lead, reason for using novelty lead, and the rules of thumb in lead writing. So I hope you are all familiar with this topic. Here are the learning outcomes. First is name the different kinds of lead, then apply techniques in writing grammatical beginning lead. Next, distinguish information in select leads and organize gathered data into specific news leads. First, we will talk about the part of news. The newspaper article requires a style of writing different from what is used when writing a story. The opening statement or paragraph bears the most important information. This one-sentence paragraph is called the lead. So writing the newspaper article and writing story is different in terms of style of writing. Newspaper used an inverted pyramid format, which means that the important information goes at the beginning of the story and the least trustworthy information goes at the end. While writing a story, it uses literary elements to establish meaning in the text. This one-sentence paragraph is called the lead because it gives a direct answer of the four W's, which are the what, who, where, and why. So the following are the parts of the newspaper. First is the headline, next byline, next lead paragraph, major details, and the last is the minor details. First, we will talk about the headline. This is a short, attention-getting statement about the event. It capsulizes the first paragraph. So the headline is the title of the newspaper. It is the part of the newspaper that catches the reader's attention. Its purpose is to summarize the substance of a piece. So we have here the example. Dr. Einstein is dead at 76. From this headline, it is already tell what the paper is all about. Next is the byline. This indicates the name of the writer or writers of the news article. So some magazines place bylines between the headline and the text, but there are some articles that place the byline at the bottom of the page. Next, we have the lead paragraph. This contains the major who, what, when, where, why, and how in it. A writer must find answer to the major 5 W's and 1 H. However, they should choose the answer that bear the most significant elements to avoid overcrowding the paragraph. So the lead paragraph is the opening paragraph of an essay, book, chapter, or article that summarizes the main ideas. Next is the major details. After the lead paragraph is written, the writer will now decide to weave the major details into paragraph. Take note still that for beginners, the use of one sentence equivalent to one paragraph rule should be strictly followed. The writer should still observe coherence of ideas. So the major details are the primary forms of the main ideas. So if we have the major details, of course, we have the minor details. This is the last part of the news. Minor details, should there be more space in the paper, the least important details may be written. This will give the editor a wider perspective of the news, that he or she may paraphrase or inject some of them in the major details. So the major details explain and develop the main idea, while the minor details help make the major details clear. Now we are going to discuss what is about the lead. As iterated, the lead is the story's opening sentence or two. Straight news tells the most important of the story. In a feature, article, or news feature, the lead could be a word, a phrase, a sentence, paragraph that attracts the readers and sustains the reader's interest. The lesser words in a sentence, higher its comprehensibility. The lead is an introduction of the newspaper and the most important info because it contains the major questions of the readers. Next of the subtopic we have is the major classification of lead. Let's talk first about the summary. It answers the 4 W's and 1 H. The story is presented using the inverted triangle form where the most important are in the first and the second paragraph. This is used in the straight news. So from the word itself, summary, it uses a few words to give the most important information. So this what the inverted pyramid is. As you can see, the lead is presented first. It contains the important information, the who, what, where, why, and how appear at the start of the story, followed by supporting details and background information. So the next major classification is the grammatical beginning lead. It gives emphasis on the logical importance of the major details. However, it is also equally concerned with its grammatical structure. There is an avenue to break the monotony of summary or conventional lead paragraph. And the last of the classification of lead is the unorthodox lead or novelty lead. It is best used to attract the reader's attention, to arouse his or her curiosity, and to sustain his or her interest. It is used in a writing, news feature, or feature article. Next, we will talk about the kinds of summary lead. First is what lead. This is applied if the most important angle of the news is the event. For example, the new grading system in Batanes State College will be imposed next semester after the Board of Trustees approved the resolution at the Commission on Higher Education Central Office yesterday. So the new grading system answers the what. Next is the who lead. This type of lead is used if the most important angle of the news is the person involved, thus more significant than the event. For example, the members of the Board of Trustees of the Batanes State College approved yesterday the new grading system at the Commission on Higher Education Central Office. So the members of the Board of Trustees answers the question who. Next, we have where lead. The location where the event takes place is more significant than the other aspects of the news. Then, this kind of lead is best applied. For example, at the Commission on Higher Education Central Office, yesterday the Board of Trustees of the Batanes State College approved the new grading system which will take effect next semester. So at the Commission on Higher Education Central Office, answer the question where. Next is the when lead. This type of lead is seldom used since this is only applicable when the time element is more important than the other angles of the story. For example, yesterday at the Commission on Higher Education Central Office, the Board of Trustees of the Batanes State College approved the next grading system which will take effect next year. So the yesterday answers the question when. The last W we have is the why lead. If the cause of the event is the most effective angle of the story, this type of lead is best suited. For example, to cope with the standards of Asian integration, the Board of Trustees of the Batanes State College approved yesterday the new grading system which will take effect next semester. So to cope with the standards, answers the question why. And the last we have is the how lead. If the process or the manner of how the event happened is most important among the other angles of the news, the how lead is used. For example, through a 7 to 5 vote, the members of the Board of Trustees of the Batanes State College approved the new grading system at the Commission on Higher Education Central Office yesterday. So through a vote 7 to 5 answers the question how. Let's now move on to the kinds of grammatical beginning lead. The important W's are found in the main clause, not in introductory or subordinate clause, which is just a modifying feature. Again, it breaks the monotony of summary lead in a newspaper. It may also denote that the story belongs to the soft news. So the first grammatical beginning lead is the prepositional phrase lead. It is a phrase that is introduced by a preposition. When we say preposition, it is a word or group of words that is used with a noun, pronoun to show direction, location, time, or introduce an object. For example, with the power of resolution number 37. So the first word of this example is a preposition, which is the with. Next is the infinitive phrase lead. As the name suggests, it starts with a preposition to plus the main verb. So for example, to meet the demands of the Asian integration. To is the preposition and the meet here is the main verb. Next is the participial phrase lead. This lead is signaled by the presence of the present or past participle of the verb acting as a modifier. For example, recording a 7 to 5 margin vote. Next is the gerundial phrase lead. This lead is introduced by a gerund. It is a verbal ending in ing which acts as a noun. Many beginning writers interchange the present participial lead to gerundial lead. Remember, the former acts as a modifier where the later acts as a noun. So for example, synchronizing with the standard of Asian integration. Next is the clause lead. This lead commences with a clause which may become either a noun or adjectival or adverbial clause. For example, because there is a need to synchronize with the standards of Asian integration. Next, we will talk about the kinds of novelty leads. When we speak novelty, it refers to something that is interesting or entertaining that is popular for a short period of time. Always remember that an article should be written in such a way that it arrests the reader's attention. So the kinds of novelty lead that catches your audience attention, first is narrative lead. It draws the reader into the story by allowing him or her to relate herself with the character of the story. So when creating a news, you can make it like a narrative. You tell the story of a certain event of a person. By doing that, the readers could relate. So the text below is an example of the narrative lead. Next, we have the descriptive lead. Effective in writing personality sketches, travel logs, and the like, this lead illustrates a mental picture of the subject to the reader. A writer must be adept in creating mental images through the play of the language to satisfy the readers in using this technique. So in descriptive, you are using words to describe what something or someone is like. In writing, you need to have a creative mind. This text is an example in descriptive writing. The third on the list is the quoted statement lead. It is a statement uttered by well-known personality or celebrity. Usually in school setting, when student journalists want to highlight the message of the guest speaker, they use this type of lead. So for example, you have to spread your wings and fly. This was emphasized by Dr. Malu H. Wang, the guest of honor and commencement speaker of Mindanao State College last April 5 at the auditorium. So this is also another way to catch your reader's attention. Next, we have the question lead. It is a thought-provoking question to capture the interest of the reader and lead them to find the answer provided by the succeeding details of the article. For example, when was the last time you told your mother you love her? Maria Mantis, 35, wishes she could tell her 1,000 times how much she loves her now, but her mother is already headless inside her coffin. Next we have is the teaser. Generally short, crisp, and witty, this is a device to deceive the reader in a jesting manner, as it arouses his curiosity and gently leads him into the story. Often riddles are used, and they do not give the readers any clue on the nature of the story. They are mostly suggestive and humorous. For example, which comes first, the hen or the egg? Well, egg could not be made possibly without the hen, but where does the hen come from? Punch lead. It is a short, striking one-sentence lead. For example, hungry farmers in Kidapawan were asking for food, but the enforcers of the law fed them with bullets. Next is the astonisher lead. This lead aims to give the reader a strong sense of emotional value. Thus, it primarily uses an exclamatory sentence. So the text below is an example of astonisher lead. Next is the one-word lead. It uses a very significant word to capture or arouse the interest of the reader. So for example, boom! Residents in Vasco Batanes seemingly ran to nowhere when a restaurant situated in Cayhobocon exploded on April 1, 2016 around 9:15 in the morning. So the last kind of novelty lead is the parody lead. It consists of a parody of a well-known quotation, song, poem, book, or movie film title. For example, there was never an us. This familiar line from a movie of Sarah Geronimo was the exact statement of Miss Tugbold to Mr. Chief Escudero yesterday when asked if there was a time when both agreed to share stocks in the top-performing Pacino Airline Company. Next is the background lead. It describes an event in which the background overshadows the individuals who participate in it. Often, it uses stories about carnival, festivals, dances, and others. For example, with the glittering and shimmering bantings along the skimpy reeds as if true of rainbows came to visit the town of Gataran, Cagayan to celebrate with its 30th Agsalukag Festival on April 13, 2016. Next is the prick lead. In order to enhance its appeal and to easily catch the attention of the reader, this kind of unique lead uses typographical effects. For example, wanted, loyal Filipino teachers. This is the appeal of the Commission on Higher Education yesterday amidst the exodus of many Filipino teachers abroad. Next is the contrast lead. It is used to point out opposites and extremes. The text below is an example of contrast lead. Next is the staccato lead. Primarily rooted from musical parlance, this term suggests a lead that consists of a series of words and phrases punctuated by periods, commas, or dashes. For example, neglected, denied, abused, abandoned. This is the real picture of our forest today. There are 4 reasons for using novelty lead. First is to enhance the readability of the newspaper. Second, to arouse the reader's interest. Third, to add vigor and color to writing. Next is to challenge the ability of the writer. The next subtopic we have is the rules of thumb in lead writing. Make sure the lead includes the most important of the 5 W's: what, where, who, why, and when, and H, particularly the who, person or thing, did what and when. Second, the lead should be simple, brief, compact, vigorous, and attractive. It should not inject too much information. In general, keep the lead to 7 to 35 words. Third is the fact first. Do not start with when or where, unless such information weighs the heaviest importance. The fourth rule is to consider your subject matter. Not all news articles are treated light as well as serious. Fifth is to keep it up to date. Use the correct tense. If in doubt, consult a grammar book or bring with you a pocket book of grammar rules. Remember, being accurate and being correct are foundations of journalism. Sixth is, your lead should not carry your gratuitous opinion. To avoid this, indicate the person or the source from whom such opinionated statement came from. Next is the practice avoiding to begin the lead with the time, day or date or place. Better focus on the action, the who or what. Next is cut off non-essential details. News writing or news reporting is straight to the point. And the last rule of thumb is practice makes perfect. That is all for my report. Thank you for listening. God bless.